Debbie can arouse such a deep desire to help. Our best intentions, though, can only take our efforts to help orphaned and vulnerable children so far. We need to draw on our hearts and our minds in the service to their needs. Our good intentions are not enough because we all know where those lead. We also need best practices to guide what we do. Acting in faith is only one part of the solution to give children the opportunity to reach their full potential. We believe that the best idea is in marrying the best intentions and the best practices to promote the best interests of children. The Hague Adoption Convention is a tool that promotes best practices and respects the rights of all members of the adoption constellation. It not only provides an ethical and transparent framework for good intentions and outcomes, it ensures that intercountry adoption can remain an option for children in need of permanent families. It allows us to work with nearly 90 other countries to promote actions that help children. Much like codes of conduct that guide faith communities, the Adoption Convention provides a legal framework for action. As a result of the convention, Debbie's adoption was transparent. Our relationship with India under the convention means that there's a predictable process for the intercountry adoption works. Following Hague Convention principles, the Indian Central Authority searched for Debbie's birth parents, placed her name on an adoption registry, found her a temporary home, and looked for permanent options within India. It ensured that the Indian Central Authority provided full disclosure to her American family about her background and her medical needs. And the Hague Standards of Practice here in the United States meant that Debbie found a family that was prepared and ready to meet her needs. The relationship of trust and respect between our countries is stronger because of the convention. In countries where the protections of the convention are lacking, we often receive reports that children are bought and sold, birth parents are told outrageous lies about the future of their children, and corrupt officials line their own pockets on profits that they receive from unscrupulous actors in the adoption process. Our best intentions spur us to try to fill the urgent needs of these vulnerable children, but in many cases, these well-intentioned actions lead to an increase in placements without necessary safeguards. It has led countries of origin to question whether the good of intercountry adoptions is worth risking the ills. Despite its embodiment of best practices, people often blame the convention for the decline in the number of adoptions. But numbers are an incomplete measure of success and only part of the story. Good intentions without best practices create boom-bust cycles in intercountry adoption. In several countries, we are seeing this cycle again, and we're receiving alarming reports of irregularities in the adoption process. Children are being removed from orphanage by birth family members after an intercountry adoption has been finalized, and adoptive families are being asked to pay ever-increasing expediter fees. Such abuses threaten the integrity of the entire process, and these problems inevitably lead to the closure of intercountry adoptions in certain countries, and that benefits no one. Let's consider the paths before us. One is unstructured and often ill-regulated. Or we can follow the path that Debbie took, where best practices allow for a relationship of trust where we can work hand in hand to safeguard and promote intercountry ethical adoptions. We can repeat the cycle that pushes for quick, easy adoptions as the only big idea for helping orphans, or we can choose Debbie's path that promotes the protections of all the parties. We at the State Department have worked with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service on a number of solutions to make adoptions more transparent and more ethical. These include the Universal Accreditation Act, which means that every adoption service provider must be accredited whether they're working in a Hague country or not, and also a process called PAIR that stands for Pre-Adoption Immigration Review, so that all the investigations are done at the beginning of the process rather than at the end of it. We all share the same goals. We are all passionate about our efforts to assist children. We need not be in conflict when we all seek to protect the best interests of children. Let's move the conversation from us versus them to we. Let us all work together to devise best practices that not only help us and our partner countries implement the convention, but are rational in the context of our shared goals. Let us work together to improve processes in non-Hague countries. We all should avoid the seductive allure of the easy answer and think about adoption as one important part of our mission to help the world's vulnerable children. We are all committed to ensuring that children find safe and loving homes. It takes many small acts of courage to put children like Debbie first. And all these small acts form one big idea: ethical intercountry adoptions that we owe all children. Thank you very much.